Hey, John. Hey, everyone. I'm live with the amazing John Lee, who I've connected with on this app that we're both addicted to called Clubhouse. We're spending way too much time on Clubhouse, John.
Well, Sinead, this is an amazing opportunity for people, and you know this with social media, and that's why I think you've done so amazing with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn just recently turned into a social media platform, isn't it? Right. So, it's what we call the first mover advantage. With business, it's all about distribution. So I think people listening to this, they definitely need to use that app.
Absolutely. Like I've been telling everybody, and unfortunately, like some people in my network have Android, so they can't get in yet. But what I can tell you, John, and I'm sure you've experienced this week. I'm not a big Instagram person, so I would maybe check Instagram like once a week. By the way, people, like, we're getting hundreds of comments already on LinkedIn. You can't see, but it's there. But I've never had people message me so much through Instagram as much as just being on Clubhouse. And just in this past week that I've been on Clubhouse, I mean, thousands of dollars in business have come through in just the DMs, just people hearing your story and listening to you talk. What experience have you had? Because you have 2-point-something million followers on Instagram. So I'm sure your messages are blown up.
So we just did a Clubhouse where we had some of the biggest names in the industry come in. I just literally was just talking to Tyrese Gibson. I was telling you
That's amazing.
So he came in and he was just dropping some amazing value. I mean, he's so humbled, and I love his mindset. But if you look at now, it's never been easier to connect with the right people. I can tell you there's people in this industry who I've been wanting to connect with for years. And literally in one go, I'd have to, I've spent the last 15 years flying around the world, making contact with this person, this person, this person. I collecting with this celebrities, go for this dinner and this Christmas party. And it's like, oh my God, it takes a long time. Now you can, in 2 hours, bang, get to anybody you want.
I know. I interviewed Grant Cardone yesterday just because he's been on Clubhouse, and I've been on stage with him a couple times. And it just so happened that I was on stage with him when that woman wrote the article that she tagged us both in, like the 78 superstar entrepreneurs and marketers on Clubhouse. And so his team contacted me. Like, that would have taken me months without Clubhouse.
Oh, I can tell you, and it's interesting as well. It's not only just connecting with new people. So Elena, she's a good friend of mine, right? Mm-hmm. So she used our platform, and I've been giving her a little bit of little tips on speaking. She's like, "Oh, John, I don't know how to do this speech, and I just do it like this." So, we met in London, but I can tell you that, right now, if you look at there's only really two ways to market, Shani. One, paid; the other, free. That's it.
Right.
You either spend millions of dollars. I spent millions of dollars on marketing, but now I can get the same effect without just spending time and adding value. And the crazy thing about this is, you and I, we have a big influence, right? Mm-hmm. And typically, I mean, the traditional influencer would make money from making a post or making some kind of content. But you know what? You and I could do this for 5 or 6 hours a day. And now what Clubhouse is going to do, they're going to charge money, right? As in, let you and I as creators have a room that's a paid room. How cool is that? You imagine, you got about 750,000. Imagine you got 750,000 people in your room right now, just paying you a small nominal fee of $5 a month. That's 3.7 million per month, right?
And let me tell you, it would be completely worth it, because just what I've learned from your experience, just you talking in the rooms that I've been in, and other people sharing how they're building out these digital products. I mean, people like Adrian and Anthony Morrison, who have generated hundreds of millions of dollars in this space, and they're sharing exactly what to do to increase conversions, to make more money, and to reach people. I've gotten at least $10 million worth of value in a week.
Well, that's not even the best part. Listen to this. So one of my friends who I connected with this week, so now she's become a friend. We're talking, and we're helping each other out. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is John Lee. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wealth Dragons Group PLC. I wrote this book.
It's amazing.
Called Business Hack, and it's been endorsed by the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, if anyone's read that book.
Oh my gosh, that changed my life.
Mine too, right? So in 2019, I had listed a company on the stock exchange. So I did my first IPO. I raised millions and millions of dollars all through social media. And, for people that want to invest, and one of the best things to invest in is a pre-IPO, right? If you've got extra money and, you want to take a punt, and, a pre-IPOs are good. And so she was speaking to me, say, John, I just raised just over 2 million for her first round. And I said to her, so we're getting to know each other. I said, look, what are you working on right now? She's in the gaming industry. I'm in the gaming industry. I thought, wow, I can give you maybe some pointers on some of the things that I do that could really help. And so literally in the room, I said to her, hey, by the way, when you do go public, can you let me know before you go public? Do you know the amount of questions that came in? Oh, can you let me know? Can you let me know? Can you let me know? And so everyone wants to get on the pre-IPO, because you can only get it into a company. So for those of you that don't know what a pre-IPO is, you invest in a company before it goes public. So
how do you find out? Is it just like through connections?
You can only find out through contacts. Okay. You have to know the people or bankers. So if you've got a lot of money and you've got a private bank, you would say to your banker, you say, hey, look, I'm interested in some pre-IPO deals, and they'll bring them to you. So let's say the share price is $1 before it goes public. And then let's say once it goes public, it goes to $10. So if whatever you've invested, you're 10 times your money.
Wow. That's
like Warren Buffett style, of investing. So, well, he doesn't invest only in pre-IPOs, but to look for companies that have growth. And so these are the types of contacts that you're going to be meeting in these groups that would, like you say, would take, you have to go through the gatekeeper, go through their PAs, go through their managers, and bang, they're right there. I can have a conversation with you.
Right. And what I love about this is when somebody first told me it's like all audio only, I'm like, that's weird. Like I didn't imagine what it could be. Right. And I was like, it's going to be like just noise or whatever. But when you hear like all of these industry leaders, including yourself, share like just experiences, like mistakes, failures, successes, how to even mitigate risk, right? When you're hiring people. And I mean, I have like 5 notebooks like this, just from the information that I've heard. So John, where do you really see this going? Because now I know Twitter is like making a competitor. So you think they're going to be bought out, or?
Well, do you remember when Twitter released Periscope the first time?
No.
Right? Okay, so
I'm not really big on Twitter.
No, I'm not big on Twitter, but I tried it out. So Periscope is kind of like a Facebook Live.
Okay.
Now you have LinkedIn Live, which is amazing. By the way, for those of you on LinkedIn, hello.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people on here.
I can't see you right now, but thank you so much for tuning in. Where do I think this is going to? I can tell you, I've not seen anything like this for the last 10 years. And I've been monitoring social media for a long time. I mean, that's what I do, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff, right? So I do use Twitter for marketing, but I don't use Twitter as an organic tool. So it depends on which platform you're using, what it's for. But you look at the consumption, right? I've been on that room that I opened up this morning. So I did it as my first room. I said, you know what? I'm sitting here.
That's amazing.
I know my goals. Let's just start a room, and then one person comes in, and then there's like 30 people. There's 1,400 people right now.
Wow.
And it's been going for the last 6 hours. You look at how much consumption, people jumping in, jumping out. So whilst I'm on here with you, I've got someone modding right now. Look, I'll show you.
Yeah, show people that don't know what Clubhouse is yet.
So this is it. Look, like we're getting people that are joining, and it's just amazing.
I love it.
It's just one of these things that if you adopt it early, then you get rewarded for it. Exactly. Because these social media platforms, they give you lots of, you can either spend money and get exposure, or you get on early and you get free exposure. I can tell you, like, I've been on there for 5 or 6 days. I've got almost 20,000 people following me.
That's amazing. And I know, and I've been on there like around the same, I think 6 days, 7 days, I don't know. And I almost have 3,000 followers just from like listening and talking in rooms. And I've gotten more messages on Instagram than I think ever before in my life.
Right. So where I think it's going to go, I think it's definitely going to be disruptive. It's going to be disruptive. I'm very surprised. I mean, the founders, I've been going into some of their townhouse meetings, and they're saying they're not planning on running ads, which is very, very, like, you look at LinkedIn, you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, they're all running ads as their business model.
Yeah, so TikTok grew on Facebook ads a lot.
Yeah. So if you look at how how technology is changing. Whereas before you're selling ads, now you're not selling ads. Now they're truly creating a platform for creators, which is why I spent about 70 hours over the last 5 or 6, 7 days going through, I think it's my 7th day now, just monitoring what's working, what's not. We're trying to crack the algorithm. Like what gets people to come into the room, what gets people to share, what gets people to invite other people, So I'm trying to figure this stuff out, and it's just amazing. Imagine right now you've got 750,000 people say it on Clubhouse. So when you go live, imagine the organic exposure you're going to get from that.
Right.
And what pull more people in.
Right. And what I love about it is it's convenient. So I don't have to be here on video. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I could be walking. I could be even on a jog. I could be playing with my 4-year-old daughter and just answering questions and listening. So I think that its power is really in that convenience, because I know so many people that feel uncomfortable with video. They don't have, let's say, that confidence or that time to dedicate to just be in front of the video camera for, let's say, 20, 30 minutes a day, but yet they do feel comfortable enough to articulate themselves through speech and through audio. So I love the convenience of it. It could be 11 o'clock at night, you're in your pajamas, but you're adding value to people's lives.
No one can see.
Exactly.
No one knows.
John, how important okay, so we know the personal brand thing is a huge topic for 2021. We've been hearing it in Clubhouse, but a lot of small business owners, early entrepreneurs, they don't really know how to start growing their personal brand, building, differentiating themselves to drive revenue for their business, right? Because I know you focus on building personal brands that are profitable. So what kind of 3 tips would you give people like that?
Okay, the first tip, if you look at any business, it comes down to 3 things. Number 1, you've got to be discovered. Right? If people don't discover you, everyone listening to me right now, if you have a business, if people can't find you, it's like having a voice like Mariah Carey, but no one's ever heard you sing before.
It's true.
So you have to have visibility. So people need to discover you. And when people discover you, they're going to go browsing in your shop. They're going to go, oh, well, let's see what Janae has to offer. They got that, they got that, they got that. Maybe I'm interested. So we go from discovery to now being interested. And now we go from interested to becoming a buyer. So this is the formula of how this works. And do you know, the reason why you've been getting so many DMs is Clubhouse shortens that entire process. You get discovered immediately, because when you're in a room, like I add you, you add me, we're on stage now, we add more people, we do a little talking, people now know we exist. Our bio does all the pre-selling. Here's what we offer. So if you go to my bio, it's if you want to generate more leads, more sales, build a bigger, strong online brand, DM me, right? So all these DMs come in, my team will speak to them and chat to them. And then from there, you make sales. Right?
Yeah, it's really that simple.
You don't even need a website now.
I know. It's actually incredible, how it shortened the process. I was in a room last night called Super Connectors, how to become a super connector. So one of the women in the room, she messaged me. It was 10 p.m. I messaged her back. We got on a call at 10 a.m. this morning, and that's it. She wants to work with me. So that's a 5-minute kind of closing call. Because she heard me in the room for over 30 minutes, just sharing my perspective and stuff. So she felt that much closer to me and connected to me. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I love about this as well? Is there's so many fake gurus online. People like posting in front of a Lamborghini, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you own a Lamborghini, great. But there are some people that will rent it for the day.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then give it back. So that's not authentic. So the great thing about this on Clubhouse, all you've got is your voice, and you can tell if someone's spurting out rubbish. Or you can tell if someone knows what they're talking about or what someone's not know what they're talking about. You see?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it gives such a, like you said, one message, one sale.
Yeah. It's very powerful. How do you think they're going to break into different languages? Because for me, I speak Spanish. So I was actually seeing if there was a Spanish room, what's going to happen with the other languages? Is it going to be separate portals?
I think they'll be either they'll do country versions of it, Or it'd be like Facebook, like, you know, you'll do things in Facebook and it'll translate it for you.
Right.
So obviously this is audio. So, you know, if I just want to speak, you know, Mandarin, for example, or Chinese, I might just start a page, but it'll be in Chinese writing. So only people that can read Chinese will understand it. So,
that makes sense.
yeah. So that's how I think they'll filter it. Also, they'll now they just added the search function, so you can search for clubs and things like that. So there should be one also for country and languages as well.
Yeah. And when do you think, or when did you hear that they're gonna like start testing the paid function?
Well, it was on this second townhouse sort of, you know, meeting when they said, someone actually asked the question, you know, when, because, you know, like Facebook took years to monetize, didn't it? Like they only just released a supporter platform. And that to me doesn't make sense, because if you want people to use your platform and spend all their time on it, then if you reward them and pay them so they don't have to worry about bills, they can stay in that full time. It's like,
and I heard it's not even that good. I heard Facebook takes a lot.
Oh, the Facebook supporter. I was one of the beta testers for the supporter platform, and from a lot of people, I mean, some people did really well, but for the majority, like you said, it's too much work. I got to film a video every day. I got to put my makeup on. Now I can roll out of bed, go open. Okay, I'll jump into that room. Hey, how's it going, guys? See?
And you could just listen. So when you're busy or whatever, you're in a meeting, just like, or you're just working. Like for me, I've just been using it as kind of like, instead of listening to a podcast, which I don't know how it's going to change that, because my podcast listening hours have, I'd say, been cut down like 80% in the week.
Really?
Oh, 100%. I usually listen to podcasts while I'm working, and I'd say I'd probably listen to around 6 hours of podcasts a week on a normal week. I maybe listen to 30 minutes or 45 minutes of podcasts since Clubhouse, which is like, I don't know what Apple's going to do.
Yeah, it's insane. It's just, this is a turning point for business owners. If you're a business owner, you want a free way to market your business. I've not seen it. Like, I'm telling you, everyone I've spoken to, they're getting literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of DMs. Like, if I open my DMs now, it's like, oh my God, like I've never seen some messages come in so fast, so quick. And you just say something, it's almost like a really high quality audience. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, and I think that it comes from the invite structures. So what do you have to say about that? Because it's like, you have to be invited to get in, or somebody in there has to have you in your contact list. So like somebody, when I applied, when I heard about it, a friend obviously had me saved to their contact list and like let me in. But if you don't have that, like maybe it's maybe that's like a viable kind of like measure that like you don't have a good network. Like, I hate to put it like that, but maybe they did that for a reason. They obviously did.
Well, I think once they open it up, maybe you'll see things start changing. But for now, that's why, you know, the saying, the early bird catches the worm, right? You got to get in early, right? Get in early before they start. Like, and once they open up Android, oh my God, like you're gonna get so many more people coming in. And once they start doing country release, right? So, for example, in the US, they're probably opening the US first,
right?
Europe, then Asia, then right now with the beginning phases, it's the same stuff I was seeing. I wish that I could have used YouTube like 10 years ago the way I use social media now, because I started that 10 years ago and a lot of business came from it, but I stopped because I was only getting like, you know, 100 views, 200 views. I'm not doing this for 200 views. But what people don't understand is social media is about compound. So you asked me, how do I get 2.2 million followers following me on Instagram? I made it a decision that every single day I'll make a post. And if you scroll back to my first Instagram post 3.5 years ago, it's got 12 likes, right? And on latest, my posts get between, you know, 10 to 15 to 20,000 likes. And you're thinking, well, what's the point in getting likes? Because likes can be retargeted. So anyone who likes a post, saves a post, I can run an ad back to that person to sell that product or service.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just more people being aware of who you are too. Like, you're building that like trust and emotional connection with them. And like, for me, the more people that know you, you know, the more people that could eventually trust you, and then the more people that could eventually do business with you. But if nobody knows you, then you're going to have to rely on paid advertising. And that's something that I tell people. I have no problem with paid ads. I think that they both together are a force to reckon with, obviously, and the winning companies do use both. But I see so many startups, and I know that you could probably speak on this, John, because of investing, that they failed. They destroy themselves because they only rely on paid ads that don't work.
Yeah. So here's the key, right? So let's say you have 100,000 marketing budget per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would spend the whole 100,000, and then what they would do is they would say, okay, so I spend 100 grand, and I want it to be direct response marketing. So their mindset is, I spend 100 grand, what am I going to make back, right? That's how most businesses think. What you should be thinking is, well, if I spend 100, if my budget's 100 grand, I'm going to take 30,000 of that, 30% of that, and I'll put that into my brand. You see, brand doesn't make money, but it supports the sales. Like if, for example, I was recently featured in Forbes. So people have never heard of me before. You can go to Google, type in John Lee Forbes, and my Forbes feature will show up, right? So that's the power of brand. And when you get into Forbes, you get into another magazine. I was on Entrepreneur magazine, right? And then you start getting TV interviews. Then you start getting book deals, podcast interviews, right? So this is how you found me. So let me ask you a question. Why did you invite me as what got you to invite me to come on your podcast?
Because number one, how you were speaking in Clubhouse, you obviously knew what you were talking about. Then going to your profile, seeing that you have a social presence, that because it's just something that we look at and it's like, okay, I want to learn from this person. I want him to teach my network. And so that's why I reached out. But if, let's say you only had 500 followers, maybe I would have invited you, maybe not.
So here's another question then. So, because this is a question that was posed in Clubhouse. Does having lots of followers help your personal brand or not?
100%. I believe it does if it's real. Because I know like on Instagram, like there's ways to buy that and whatever. But I feel that Clubhouse is the filter that you could tell if somebody's BS or not. So by the way you were speaking so well and like so succinct, and you obviously know what the heck you're talking about, that when I go to your profile, I automatically have that trust that like, these aren't fake followers. You know what I mean? And then I see your book, and you could go to the link in bio thing. And from there, I think that that's what Clubhouse brings to the table, because if you just go to a random profile and you see 1 million followers, I don't know if that's real or fake if I've never heard your voice before and heard you talk for 5 minutes. But I think it does, because let me tell you something. All of the podcast interviews that I'm doing, they would say no if I didn't have a following.
So true. By the way, once this is done, let me know and I'll share it to my following as well.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll download it and send it to you on Dropbox, and I'll share the links with you and stuff. But I think it matters. What did people say in Clubhouse?
Well, people were saying things like, "Oh, it's just vanity metrics," and and to an extent, yes and no. For example, let's take the verification. For example, if you're verified, so I'm verified on most networks. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, verification means you get a blue tick next to your name. So if you go to Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, I'm verified on those. So whenever I would message a celebrity, the celebrities wouldn't really message me back. Right. It was only when I started becoming verified, then I started getting not just celebrities, but influencers, people who were public figures would then start to message me back. And I knew as soon as I started getting the blue tick on my name, I then started getting, like, if you go to my profile, you see some top big celebrities. If I was to name some of the athletes, some of the actors, some of the CEOs of companies, I'm talking about, well, I mean, you can go and check. And because it's etiquette. But like, they only start following me once I had my blue tick.
Correct.
Did you notice that? Did you notice anything?
Oh, 100%. Like, people, when I didn't have a social media following, okay, I was all like, my story, I didn't have much even 2 years ago. So I was growing my business at the same time as growing my following, blah, blah, blah. But like, I realized that the more following I had, like, the easier it was to do business, the easier it was to get into these opportunities and masterminds and stuff like that. Because a lot of people with money, they lack one thing, they lack visibility. And now they want that visibility. So it's like even a billionaire that I can't provide him any value with money. He has more money than me. But because of my network, I know so many people that I could connect him with somebody in my network, and I could provide him or her that visibility that they're lacking, because a lot of successful people, unlike you, John, they've neglected their personal brand. And so only now are they building it, and they want as much visibility as possible. So that's something that I could leverage to get an opportunity to speak with them and an opportunity to build a relationship with them. So for me, it's been priceless.
Yeah. So for example, right now, so I'm running an event, right? So we'll do this live. So, I could say to you, hey, you know what you're talking about when it comes to LinkedIn profile. Would you like to come speak at my event?
Absolutely.
See, so it's a two-way thing, isn't it? By the way,
exactly.
I've got around almost, we were thousands. Well, last I checked, we had over 7,000 people registered for that event.
Awesome.
So
when is it?
16th, 17th.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
that one. I run events all the time anyway. So just let me know when you're free, and I'll because I think what you have to offer is also really valuable as well.
No, I would love to. And that's something also just for everyone listening. I see way too many people hesitate when an opportunity is presented to them. Do you have any examples of that in your career where like you seized an opportunity, made a decision quickly, like in the book, Think and Grow Rich? Carnegie gave Napoleon Hill, I think, less than 60 seconds to decide if he wanted to write the book. Like he had a timer under his desk when he asked him, do you want this opportunity? And he was giving him 60 seconds. If it was going to go past 60 seconds, he was going to be like, it's done. You're not going to get it anymore. And Napoleon Hill said yes at like 30 seconds because he was trying to teach him, like, sometimes the best decisions are decided quickly.
Yeah. I guess that's also a double-edged sword. I mean,
it is. Like some financial decisions, no. But
yeah,
like,
I mean, I'm the type of person that you described. I like jumping. I'll say yes, and I'll figure out how to do it later. All right. So I always say this: like, if you look at my definition of an entrepreneur is jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. Mm-hmm. Right? That's pretty much what it is. And so, with some decisions, definitely like. And that's what I learned from Richard Branson. I was on stage with Richard Branson in 2011, and you look at, one of his sayings is say yes and figure out how later. Mm-hmm. So I definitely agree that the difference between people who are successful and people who are not successful is the speed of implementation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes saying yes to opportunities that, like you're saying, you'll figure it out as you go, but there is a balance because you do have to be like prepared and strategic at the same time. But John, I know that we're almost at 30 minutes. I don't want to take too much of your time. What inspiring or constructive words could you give the audience to be more successful in 2021? Somebody that, let's say, only has $500 to their name. What would you say to them?
Well, there's really three things that I've always done, and I've done this consistently for my time of being an entrepreneur. First one, I always think, the first thing I always do is I always acquire and learn knowledge. Right, that's why I think Clubhouse is so good, because a lot of free information on there from like multi.
I have no
like figures on there.
Yeah,
there's some billionaires on there, which is crazy. So I definitely want to take my company to that level in the next 5 or 10 years. That's my goal, to take it to $1 billion valuation. So it's funny because I look back on this 10 years from now and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have
that's my goal. So knowledge is key. Like people, like there's a difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. And the difference is what they know, right? Mm-hmm. It's what they know, and it's also who they know.
Yes.
Right. So that means you got to know stuff, but knowing is not enough. Mm-hmm. You also have to have the skills to back up what you know. So, for example, for me, I spend a lot of time learning about Facebook marketing, YouTube, Instagram, or social media. I've spent millions and millions testing what works, what doesn't work. I invest thousands and thousands of dollars into courses, masterminds, like you say, because even at my level right now, I'm still learning, because I believe that when the student is ready, the master will show. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we must not only learn, but we also have to keep, sharpening the sword. We need to keep our skill level up, because if you go into negotiation, and I built a multi-million-pound property portfolio using this exact same strategy of negotiation. How do you go into a deal and how do you negotiate and ask specific questions that allow you to close the deal? For example, if I say, hey, sign the paperwork versus, oh, can you just okay the paperwork? They're two different things. The conversion is much higher when I say, can you okay the paperwork? You see? No one ever wants to sign on the dotted line. So you need to learn this stuff. So that's the skill set. The third one, which I think is super important, is implementation and execution, right? You can learn stuff. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is potential power. Without the action comes no results. So
wow, that's powerful.
Thank you. So that's all I do. I'm not a clever guy. I didn't do so well at school. I didn't, I'm dyslexic. So, I find it really hard to study. But one thing I know is these three things. If I get the right knowledge, if I keep sharpening the saw, right? So I forget who it was. I think it was Rockefeller. I'm going to mix this up, but I can't remember where I heard this. But if you give someone an axe and you give that person 9 hours to cut down the tree, I would spend 8 hours sharpening the saw.
Yeah.
Right. So I forget where I heard that saying. Maybe someone in the comments can correct me on that.
Yeah, I'll let you know what they're saying. I think it was Rockefeller or Lincoln. Like I know.
It was Lincoln.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's what I do every day. I just, get knowledge. I practice and get good at it. And then I just implement and see what works. And that's all I do. And I'm telling you, like, success is not a secret. It's just consistency.
Absolutely.
Right? That's all it is.
And I love how you said, when you're ready, the student, or when the student is ready, the master will appear. And I always think of the second part of that, where I heard when the student is really ready, the master will disappear. Like, have you heard that?
Oh, but I want to add that one.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's true, because some people, like their mentors, obviously we all grow older and their mentors will eventually not be there for them. So like our purpose should be to like leave them ready and to be left ready so that when they're no longer here, we could really survive and thrive and all of that. And I love bringing that second aspect to that quote, because the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true.
I'm going to use that one. And I'll credit you for that.
Yeah. So somebody said it was Abraham Lincoln. So now we know it was Lincoln.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions because I know this is live. This is not
it is
live. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. People are asking, how do we get into Clubhouse? It's invite only. You guys, if you have questions, just put them in the comments live now so that I could read them back. Let me see. Let me scroll back up. Do you have to be invited into Clubhouse? Everyone's like, please get me into Clubhouse. Authenticity is key. I learned a lot from the podcast and articles. I would love to be able to do something like this. Okay, let's see. People are just saying, thank you so much for the discussion, really deep discussion. Can you grow your local marketing pipeline? What's the best way to grow a local marketing pipeline for like a brick and mortar business?
Yeah. So in every single platform, you'll have something called geo-targeting. For example, I can target LA and I can target maybe a 1 mile radius from central LA, right? So that means only people within that mileage or kilometer range will see my advert. So that's a really great way to do that. And also as well, you can do the same with I call collaborations. LinkedIn is really, really good for title targeting. So I can target all the CEOs in with a 1 mile radius of a particular city, for example. And you can get really clear. You can target all the clubs, target the location. And so you can get your message. It's a strategy I call MMM, message to market match. Message to market.
I love that. And then Eduardo Soto has a question here. What's the best strategy you've used for growing and lead generation through Clubhouse?
Oh, so actually, I'll give you a little tip, Sinead. Like, you might want to use this. So I basically just really simply, like, again, I'm not fancy or anything. I just set up a Google form and I said to people, I said, hey, look, if you're interested in, attending more of these sessions, I just basically use my name, John Lee, and because John Lee is a really common name. So if I try to get johnlee.com, it's not there. Got it. But if I look at, I registered John Lee Club.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you open up johnleeclub.com, there'll be a form, right? And I just say to people, I say, look, if you're interested to know what I do, or if you're interested to keep updated with, every time we go live, sometimes, I'll get some, celebrities to come on the show. And I say, would you like to get pinged? I got literally hundreds of people in there right now. And I just started it. I just thought, instead of them, because if you put them all into the DMs, it's like, oh my God, it's going to take a long time to filter. Whereas now, if they put it into a form, if they go to johnleeclub.com, I've got now all the telephone numbers. I can just ping them a text and say, hey, by the way, we're going live.
That's so awesome. And then one more question, John, because I know your time is valuable. John, what was your greatest challenge in business and how did you overcome it?
Greatest challenge in business? Oof, that's a good question. How long do we have?
Hey, I'm trying to be short for your time. I have time.
There's been a lot of challenges in business. I mean, I think the biggest one is taking our company public. If anyone's ever, I don't know if has anyone done an IPO before? If you have, type in yes into I know I can't see the comments, but I know you can.
Yeah, if you guys have done that before, put yes, and if not, put no.
Yeah. So that is, I tell you, it's almost like pain every single day for like 3.5 years.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's not like it goes against like entrepreneur like behavior, meaning like, I don't know about you, but I don't like paperwork, right? I don't like.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
It's like, oh, but it's so much paperwork. Like, and then they're like the politics around it as well, like corporate governance. Mm-hmm. Like, that sometimes you have to explain to them. I mean, our board is pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes like we have some pretty heated discussions, right? Mm-hmm. And those heated discussions, I'm trying to like, a lot of the board members are a lot older than I am. So when I'm trying to like pitch things like Clubhouse or pitch things like Facebook and YouTube, like they get it, but they don't really get it. And sometimes they work really hard. And then, by the way, that's just their experience.
Right. I was going to ask you, how do you balance like that creative visionary? Because I've heard this when you go public and there's a board and all of that stuff. Sometimes because a lot of the board and, now there's like, their main thing is finances. So how do you like stop that from like choking vision and creativity?
Well, it's balance as well. Like you can't just have vision. Like
the
reason why I have a board is because they keep the company running. Like if I was to run the company with no board, there'd probably be no company. Because I'd be like, oh yeah, let's spend the money on that. Let's give all that money there. But they hold finances. They'll put literally financial handcuffs on the company, which is good because it's control. So you do need to have a board. So, they leverage my experience. So when they're trying to explain to me, I don't get it sometimes.
Right.
So it goes both ways. So that I guess chokehold is released by communication. Mm-hmm. Right? So and then it's leadership as well. And obviously, being the CEO, and there's two CEOs in the company, we have a mutual agreement, and we always come with, look, don't question me on what I do because I'm the best at what I do in what I do. And I won't question you on what you do because you're the best at what you do. And then we test it and see what the results are. And if something goes wrong, then we need to have another conversation. Mm-hmm. So, going public was really tough. I mean, the road shows we had to do, I was on the road, like going to like road shows, raising finance as well. But how do
you think COVID has changed that game, John?
Well, when we did that to start with, I thought, this is crazy. Like, why are we going to all these places to speak in front of 20 people, 30 people? I've got 5 million followers in total, right? I'm just going to make a post and say, hey, I'm going public. How many of you would be interested? All the messages come in, right? So, and I didn't think
that's not how it works. That from what I've heard, I heard it's very hard to raise money online. Like,
well, we raised a lot of money from our social media following.
Really?
Yeah. We raised a lot. In fact, we didn't use any VC. We didn't use any institutions. And when we went public, people were like, how come you got so many investors? Right? Because normally, when you go public, normally you only have like, your cornerstone investors. Mm-hmm. Right. So, we were able to do that. And because we have distribution and I think, a few of my friends in this industry who you've probably heard from in the rooms, they're doing the same thing. They're raising millions for like real estate funds. They're raising, a friend of mine just bought a Radio Shack. So yeah, and Pier 1. So, but a lot of the finance is raised from the following, right? From investors in the following. So it's a very unorthodox way to do it, but that's why you need to build a social media following because you have distribution. Like when my new book comes out, I can say, hey, I've got a new book. Go here to buy it.
When is it coming out?
No, I don't have an ebook. No,
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying,
Now you have to write one.
no, but I'm just saying, like, if I was to write a new book, so a friend of mine, Jim Quick, I just brought him into the room. He's writing his new book now,
Oh,
right? So
cool.
he already has a massive following. He's got a big podcast. He's got millions of people that follow him on social media. That's why he's a New York Times bestselling author.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember when I graduated high school. I graduated high school in 2009, and like back then, like it was almost like you had to write a book. I remember to get a community and stuff like that. Now it's the opposite. Now they won't even take you on unless you have a social media following that is ready to be sold to, basically.
Yeah, books as well. Like books require a minimum of 5,000 followers for them to even consider you. Film deals as well. A lot of influence, like a lot of people doing acting. If you have a big following, that actually weights on whether they're going to cast you or not.
Wow.
Right?
So
I've got friends or actors and even models. Like if you're modeling for a shoot and you're wearing like, specific garments, if you've got big following, then part of the contract is where you got to make a post.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So it's so interesting because obviously, like, profitability is number one in business, culture, all of that. But now it's like the following really is more than vanity metrics. It's something that is valued across getting opportunities like this. And so, I mean, thank you just so much for the discussion today, John. Like everyone loves it, and I'm gonna share the links with you.
Well, first of all, Shanae, I think what you're doing and what you're doing to give back to the community and getting all these amazing minds to come and really share with your community, that is inspirational in itself, because you don't have to do this. You don't have to sit there with the mic and interview people. You could just keep this information to yourself. And the fact that you're giving it to people and the fact that they're learning this stuff, and you must receive so many messages from people saying, oh, thank you, that podcast changed my life. Right? I love it when people do that. And when I got this, I was speaking to my assistant about this. Oh, this person wants to get on this podcast. What's it like? I said, look, have a look at her work, see what she's doing, right? And the fact that you've been doing this for a while, and the fact that you are, you good at what you do and you're passionate about what you do, I thought, you know what, you need to support people who are pushing this message out to the world and making a big difference. I know there's 8 billion people on this planet, but if we can make like our followings, even if it comes to like 5 or 6 million, in a big schemes of things, it's not that much. But if we can just change one life, if someone listened to this right now and what we have both said, if it resonates and you take one action on that and it makes a difference to your life, then I think our job is done.
There you go. I mean, there's people flooding the comments like, thank you both for sharing your knowledge and stuff like that. So I think that we've accomplished the task. But again, thank you so much for the opportunity. And this is just a lesson for everyone. As you grow, like help others that are just coming up, help people build people up and rise. If you see the effort, if you see the consistency, and I still do the same. Like I'll collab with somebody with 1,000 followers if I see they're consistent and all of that stuff, and that they're trying, because it just gives that, it gives them like that push and that boost, and it just shows them that there's still really good people in the world that are just trying to collaborate and share positive messages together.
Let me share a quick story with you there.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen Cody in one of the rooms where we always speak. When I contacted him, I only had about 10,000 followers, and he had 1.2 million followers. And when I said to him, I said, hey, would you mind making this post for me? He said, yes. Do you know, I got like 10 or 15,000 followers overnight.
Wow.
And now that I've got a bigger following than him, guess what? I promote all this stuff now.
Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And it's just like, and that's really the true power of business. And I think of Clubhouse and everything, it's just collaboration. Like we could do a lot more together than just alone.
Completely agree. Thank you so
much. This is awesome. Like, not all podcasts have this type of synergy and energy, but I really appreciated your thoughts, John. And let's definitely keep connected.
Anytime, and maybe you should come on our show. I'm launching a new podcast this year as well, so We'll have you on our shows on to share some of your insights if you're up for that.
Awesome. I'm definitely up for it. You have a beautiful day, and I'll hear you in Clubhouse shortly.